Hi, I'm Rod Anderson, and this is another edition of Smile with Sandbox. Today, we're going to speak with Drew Shaw of Klonetics, and just a fascinating story on how this organization has pivoted probably four times within the cannabis industry, and just how they've had to battle with really very little bank support and a ton of government legislation. You'll hear just how they are treated basically like the black market in the cannabis sector, and the ways that they've actually pivoted and been able to bring their business forward in a even better way. So here we go. Some great learnings here from Drew Shaw. Thank you. Drew, tell me about yourself. Tell me about Klonetics.
Great, thanks for having me, Rod. Klonetics is the largest cannabis tissue culture business in all of Canada. The business was started about 3.5 years ago, and what we saw in the industry was there's a lack of genetics. All of the licensed producers that sell smokable flower for cannabis in the industry all had the same strains. So we really went around and built the largest genetics catalog, and that's legal in all of Canada. And then we take that through a process of tissue culture, which is traditional agriculture, and we sell plantlets to all of the licensed producers of our strains and genetics to then make into flower and sell in the open market.
How long have you been in business in Klonetics?
So the company was started 3.5 years ago, and so that's been quite the ride because we started the business about 4 months before the whole cannabis industry basically imploded. You know, it had a typical business cycle, big bubble, and really, so we've started this company in a capital constrained industry, which has been had its own challenges, but at the same time, I really like what's happening. The industry's shaken out, and we're really talking about businesses now that are becoming profitable and learning how to make money in this industry. And we're going to see a lot of changes over the next year. But it's really, we are talking about government regulation trying to take a black market and a legal market and make it a legal market. And that transition, that's not fully happened yet. And I think there's a long way to go to really shake out that transition. There's a lot of dispensaries still in the black market that we're competing against. They do a fantastic job. Here's the dichotomy. You have the government coming in, regulating the legal side, putting constraints on us, and we're trying to compete against a very well-run industry in the black market that doesn't have branding, marketing constraints, naming constraints, or all of that other stuff. And so that's been definitely a challenge, I think, and that needs to shake out over here in the next 2 years. And I do believe the legal market's the way to go, but it needs to be a lot more open, and they need to take the regulations off the legal side so we can compete with the legal market.
Drew, I was able to see your facility there. Could you just tell me a bit about your facility, when you guys took it over, the size of it, what you do there?
Sure. So this was part of the ups and downs of the cannabis industry imploding. We originally were building a $20 million facility out in just outside of Kelowna. We had the land lined up, everything, and then the finance markets basically imploded. We then looked at it and went, okay, there's going to be other facilities out there that are already built out that we can then go and acquire, and we might be able to leverage without having to raise this money and be diluted. So we ended up getting a 25,000 square foot facility, had about $18 million worth of equipment already installed. And from basic cap rate point of view, we ended up getting this facility for about $5.5 million. So, through the struggles and the imploding, opportunities really showed up for us. And it's an incredible facility. It's GMP. It looks like a hospital. It's basically, the technology is fully automated. Every single room has its own HVAC. It's all humidity, temperature controlled, automated irrigation. It's a pretty incredible facility. We've put about $3 million into that facility since we've taken it over, and we've brought in a lot of technology that's more tissue culture based, scientifically based, all from Holland. And that equipment's being installed as we speak and should be fully operational here within the next 30 days.
Amazing. So it really turned the negativity going on in the market into a real positive for Klonetics and for your shareholders. You've
It
done.
didn't feel like that at the time, but it definitely turned out that way. Yeah, so you have to be able to. The lesson here is that we have pivoted in this company at least 3 or 4 times already in 3.5 years, and it's amazing. Each pivot actually has made the company stronger and the business model a lot more viable. So, all of those struggles has actually helped us in the long run. And in hindsight, I'm happy for them, but it didn't feel like that as we were going through it.
Are you dealing with banks in a significant way to manage this business and project? And if so, how did they deal with this pivoting going on from an initial kind of business plan and then what they saw with concerns in the industry, along with what COVID did to a lot of these businesses? Maybe just take us through a bit of that story.
Sure. So the banking side of the business has not helped us at all. They've treated us as if we were black market from day one. So we had trouble even opening a bank account, being a legal licensed entity under Health Canada. It was incredible. So the banking system, there's been zero financing for us, zero credit lines or anything. So we've had to do everything through accredited investors, private investors. And so most of that's been common shares. We've only issued 1 classic common share. And we've also done 1 convertible debenture financing as well for a couple $1 million.
When you look at Klonetics today, how are you better today than you were 3 or 3.5 years ago when you envisioned what this business would be?
Well, I came out of the oil and gas industry and also long-term care facility industry. And I would say just straight knowledge. We're pretty naive when we jumped in and started this. 3.5 years in, I know way more about cannabis than I ever thought I would in my life. So knowledge, without a doubt. From the business model point of view, our strongest strength, which was an accident, is the genetic portfolio that we now have. When we first envisioned the business model, it was we were going to grow and white label for licensed producers their genetics, and then basically take it through tissue culture and clean up the genetics and resell them plantlets back. Where we are today is that genetics catalog. We ran into a gentleman who said, no, you need to own the genetics. And he was connected around the world with some of the best growers. And out of Holland, Spain, we have genetics out of Africa, South America. We basically collected genetics from around the world. And then we were able to bring that into Canada legally and declare those genetics. Our company value just on the genetic portfolio is something that we're trying to wrap our head around. We don't quite know what the value is, but that's where I would say our biggest value has changed in the last 3 years. And it was really just from listening to somebody who had more knowledge than us and was pointing us in that direction. And we went and we pulled it off.
Private investor looking to participate in maybe a future fundraise, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So if they wanted to email me at drew@klonetics.com. So that's DREW@KLONETICS.com. I answer all emails that come through to me. We are just going to start our final financing round for this building for the tissue culture equipment that's coming from Holland. And that's just going to be another $500,000 that we need to finish off that installation of that final equipment.
Drew, thanks for spending the time today. There's a whole story in there about how you were able to get the genetics into Canada that I would love to do with you one day.
Yeah, that one's not a public story.
Not a public story. But that's crazy. And thank you very much. And we'll let you get on with your day.
Great. Thanks for having me.